Nolan Bushnell, Atari co-creator, once said that video games foster the mindset that allows creativity to grow. Hi class, my name is James Vasquez and this is my persuasive speech on video games, particularly why video games are good for you. Video games are now coming into light in people's lives. Social media is coming across on all platforms, and you see people coming together and playing themselves or all together. And though it is in the limelight right now, there are still misconceptions and dark clouds following video games. And I'm here to talk about why some of those are actually false and to change your mind on why video games are actually good for you as well. I will be talking about the myths or misconceptions of video games. Number two, the benefits physically and mentally of video games as well. And thirdly, talking about actual stories that people talk about saying video games actually help them out as well. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need to hear about video games at all? I don't play it, so why do I need to hear about it? Again, as I reiterate, video games are becoming a part of society now. More than it was back then when it was just a couple people here and there. It is now literally everybody, either leisurely or competitively, they all dabble in video games as well. I particularly do play video games, not as much as I did before, but I still do when I have free time. And so you might know somebody that either plays an app on their phone or actually goes and buys a console and plays it on console or PC or on a computer that plays video games. And so I could bet at least one person in your life that you are playing video games right now at this moment. Maybe a little brother or a little sister or even a family member of parental or grandparental figure, somehow, shape, or form. And so without further ado, I will be talking about the misconceptions of video games. Number one, it could be video games could cause violent behaviors. APA.org actually did a research on this and says studies are inconclusive. It is a factor. It could definitely be a factor of people playing violent video games and demonstrating that type of behavior out in public, though it is definitely not the primary factor to it. Someone who can play video games violently like Call of Duty or Battlefield or those types of war games where you go out and kill people, the enemy, again, you're not going to go out there, play those, and do that in real life. Again, some might. It's a factor. Definitely not concluding that outside. But it can't be just defaulted to, oh yeah, that's the number one reason why there's a lot of violent behaviors because of video games. That is not the case. Number two, video games are just for kids. That's not entirely true at all. There was a study done by pewresearch.org that actually did 4,000 participants were involved. And 43% of those, again, all mixed kids and adults, 43% of adults in that group actually said, yeah, I play video games. And so it's not just for kids. There are ratings saying M for mature, rated E for everybody. You just have to take it with a grain of salt because the rating system could definitely be changed or edited some way, shape, or form. But again, parents don't go out there and do the information research that they need to do for their kids. They're even there by their side buying their game for them. And so a little bit to blame on both sides why people think it's just for little kids. But anyways, it's not just for kids. And number three, video games are not just for guys. People think, oh yeah, it's just a male-dominated world in that video game genre, which is definitely not the case. Again, there was a study done between 4,000 participants, 4,000 or 5,000, between that number of ranging from males to females from 2006 all the way to 2020. And of course, back then, males were dominating of those numbers. But as recently as 2020, female gamers are actually on the rise. And so 43% of those individuals were saying that, yeah, I'm a female and I play video games in some way, shape, or form. And so that myth saying that it's only a guy thing definitely isn't the case now. So now we know that some misconceptions aren't as dark as they seem. Hopefully I clear that up. Moving on to the actual benefits of playing video games. So number one, it could actually help you with social relationships. There are a lot of different co-op games or cooperation games online or even that you can play at home with your buddies or family members or whosoever that can actually help build up that relationship. Whatever game that you might be playing, you guys can be bonding together, trying to figure out puzzles or just trying to win the game and having fun on there as well. And you can definitely talk online as you could do as a regular phone call with other people from around the world. And so you can form new friendships and solidify old ones that you already have existing. Number two, it could actually help the brain. Who would have thought? Actual gamers who were 60, 70 years old were playing video games, and it actually showed to slow down the aging process. So video games can actually help you slow down aging. Who would have thought? And as well, number two, it can help you at making better decision makings. As well, a lot of different games have puzzle making or a quick decision you have to make on the fly, unless you either die or you have to restart the whole game. And as well, you may have a bad ending and you didn't want that, so you have to go back because that one decision was make it or break it for you. And so it could definitely help you in decision making as well as cognitive skills as well. So it does help you out brain, mentally, and physically. It could also help with any type of depression or disorders that or illness that you might be having as well. It could also help ease that. And so after talking about the benefits, let's move on finally to actual stories that people had saying that, yeah, video games actually helped me out. So from the Washington Post talked about this one college student during the beginning of the quarantine, saying that couldn't go out, see their friends in person, and Zoom calls was the only form of communication. That team was stressed. He couldn't do most of his things because he was just so anxious and couldn't see his friends at all. And so he and his friends got together over an application called Discord, which is pretty much like FaceTime or Skype, however you want to use it. And they use that to talk to each other while they're playing video games. And they say that they played a lot of different ones like Animal Crossing or Call of Duty, or the popular ones of that time as well, saying that it actually helped solidify that friendship that they had with each other. And that could have dissolved once they were gone. Now we know all of these three things that I've talked about. The misconceptions people might be having of video games. Hopefully that was cleared up. Secondly, that there are actual benefits physically and mentally to help you while you're playing video games as well. And thirdly, there are stories where people said that video games have actually helped them out in some way, shape, or form. And so once you go out there, just give a video game a try. You might, who knows? You might actually like it. Let's see. That was my speech. Thank you, class.